Hey guys, Michael here, and this is a review of the Verismo. This is Starbucks' entry into the single-serve coffee slash espresso market, and this is a device that's come on the market within the last couple weeks here. It's now available at Bed Bath & Beyond, Starbucks, and places like that. So first up, I wanted to let you know, I'm going to compare this to the California Bean and Tea Leaf machine that I have, and talk about a couple key comparison points, give you a little feedback and some background on it. So first off is the water reservoir. So taking it off of the Verismo is very simple. You just kind of lean it back, pull it out. Now you do want to keep in mind that both of these units do not have built-in filters, so you'd want to use distilled or bottled water, or at least filtered water, to keep scaling and stuff like that down. A little point of note, I'm not an espresso expert either, so your taste may differ from mine, but this is a person who typically likes caramel macchiatos, cinnamon dolces, things like that from Starbucks, but both hot or ice. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the Verismo is it does make you go through a rinse cycle before you start the unit for use. The other piece is that the lights in the front, the buttons in the front on the Verismo, feel a bit cheap in comparison to the CBTL model that I have. Now, the CBTL reservoir is a bit more difficult to get off, but basically they're the same and not a lot of issues. Both kind of slip into the back, so keep that in mind as we go along. There are a couple things that I want to show about the Verismo. First, I'm going to do one of their milk pods. Now, the CBTL cannot do this. You have to use a separate frother if you want to do milk-based drinks. The Verismo obviously does. This is supposed to be one of their fortes. They think they have the milk done right, so this is like a 2% type milk, and it's not bad. Now, it is quite a milky drink if you look at the volume of milk that comes through there in that one pod. As you can see, there's a little bit of a froth to it, so not a lot, but there is some, and it is hot, and it's really not that bad. So if you're used to, or if you prefer real milk, I'm not sure this is really going to change your mind. Now, the espresso, I'm using the espresso pod, and the espresso to me tastes considerably better than the CBTL. Now, keep this in mind for me. Again, I'm not an espresso expert, but it's a lot less bitter, I guess is how I kind of view it. Starbucks is a lot less bitter than the CBTL. But now in this drink here, you can tell there is a lot of milk, but keep that in mind. And as you can see, you get a pretty good shot of espresso. I've read different reviews, saw different videos from people who drink espresso pretty much by itself, and they do believe that the Verismo does a really good job. And there was some concern. I've read some reviews where they said they thought that the volume of espresso was a bit light as compared to the espresso or the CBTL. So here I've added to the cinnamon dolce syrup, put a little whipped cream, just to give you an idea of what that looks like, and that's an 8-ounce Starbucks glass. Now, what I'm going to use here is an espresso frother. I'm going to use both the CBTL and the Verismo to give you kind of an idea of what those look like. Now, the other piece that you keep in mind, the Verismo has a shorter stand, if you will, so you're going to have to really think about what glasses you put. Now, you can remove the tray, but when you do remove the trays in those type of machines, it does splatter a little bit. The CBTL does not have a lot of room for a big mug, but does have more so than the Verismo. Pods, to me, they're basically about the same. CBTL's on the right, Verismo's on the left. Not a lot of difference there, so just something as a point of reference. So here I am. I got the espresso from the Verismo machine, pouring it into my glass that I'm going to use for the latte, and then I'm doing the same with the CBTL. Now, again, espresso to espresso, I think the Verismo is a milder type espresso. So if you've tried the CBTL, you like it, the Verismo may be a little bit weaker, but for me it's just right. And as you can tell, even when I do the adding on the milk, and I'll show you here in a minute, you'll see that there is a darker color with the CBTL. That, I guess, the espresso is just a darker roast, and this CBTL pod happens to be one of their more mild, if not the mildest, espresso pod that they have currently. So here I am, I'm adding the milk. By the way, the espresso frother here works extremely well. Does a great job getting the milk froth. I'm using a 2% organic milk. The one thing it doesn't do is heat it very, very hot. I mean, it's warm, but it's not exceptionally hot. So I think that's pretty much the standard for most of the milk frothers, and I have yet to try out the Starbucks frother that they have brought out with the Verismo. Now, I do the same with the CBTL. I do the frothing of the milk and I add it to the latte drink that I've got here, and I'll show you here a quick comparison between the two. And as you can see, the CBTL is just a shade darker. It's a little bit more of a darker roast, and it is slightly more bitter, at least for me. So this has been a quick review of the Verismo new single serve machine. So far I like it a lot. It is very close to the Starbucks flavor and taste. The milk pods I'm still kind of on the fence of, but that's been my perspective. If you have questions, comments, please leave them down below, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.